Then when temptation gets to knocking, come to think about it, maybe I'm the problem, maybe I'm the problem. When blessings come, then I go straight to sabotaging. Come to think about it, maybe I'm the problem, maybe I'm the problem.
My name is Napoleon Bradford, and I'm so glad to be here today on this first installment of Maybe I'm the Problem podcast. I got some of my boys with me, and we're going to chop it up about a couple things. But today's topic is, do you know who you are? The power of self-identity. And let me tell you where I got this from, and then I'm going to get y'all to jump in. So I was doing this study on the Bible, and I realized that though the author of the Bible, of this first chapter, who is considered to be Moses, writes this story about creation, what I found was Moses wasn't there. So why did he write it that way? He writes, in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. Earth was without form and void. Darkness was on the face of the deep. Spirit of God hovered over the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. Then he goes on this descriptive narrative of how the world obeyed God, a voice they'd never heard before, but how his commands got implemented. And then he ends this first chapter with this description of God's creation of man. Verse 26 says, God said, let us make man. And he's specific in saying, in our image and according to our likeness, and let's give them dominion. So I wonder, why would Moses say that? And then I remember reading later on in the book of Numbers, chapter 13, that when God sent the spies out to spy the land, that Moses told them, God said, it's yours. When they came back, 10 of them said they couldn't possess the land because there are giants there and because they looked like grasshoppers. And he said this, in their own eyes. Catch this. So God told them to go, but they were afraid to go because in their minds, they didn't have the capacity to conquer. And as a result, for 40 years, they had to wait. And those who said it had to die. So then I started thinking, and this is what brings me to our conversation today. What does not knowing who we are cost us? Right? How much of our life has been missed because we shrink due to our inability or our unawareness of ourself and how powerful we really are. Now, that's really what I want to chop it off. So as you talk about it, I want you to introduce yourself and then just jump into it. Let's just chop this up for a minute.
That's a great question. I'm Jay Staricha, rapper, motivational speaker, writer, actor. Go get that new Activate album now. But just what you're discussing is very deep, and it had me thinking about where it started for me. And I realized that as a kid, without a father figure or a father figure to look up to, I was just one of those people that really needed guidance because I was, intelligent, I was smart, but nobody around me was nerdy in that aspect when it comes to the men around me. In my environment in Baltimore City, growing up, it was gangbanging and drugs and, just violence. So I started to dumb myself down in order to survive and not be seen as, this intellectual person. I didn't know what to do with it. I'm listening to Nas albums and, he's taking me different places and stuff, but I'm keeping that in the cut. And as I started to get older, I realized that I learned what my true identity was by reading the Bible and understanding what God said about me, getting that foundation. Because I spent many years, I've been involved in gangs, involved in the streets, drugged in the worst of the worst, anything you can think of. And I was trying to find an identity, and create an identity, within myself based upon the world and what the world thought or what I thought a man was supposed to be. But then when I looked at it, like, what if I did have those figures in my life? I probably wouldn't have ended up finding out who God really chose me to be because I might have tried to emulate them and be like them. So when I got incarcerated and I sat down, I was like, okay, I done tried everything else. I'm just going to try you, Father. Show me. I was given the Bible and I started to open the Bible and read it and understand it. I gave my life to Christ. And then I started to see what he said I was. I'm the head, not the tail. He gives me promises. I'm learning what this masculine God can actually do for me. But I had to sit down and, get that understanding. And that's what's shown me that this is what we need as men. Just black men of God, black men, we need that foundation so we can see exactly, he's who he says that we are. Because we don't do that a lot, We go to different things. Oh, I've been like this, I've been in the streets, I smoke, I drink, this is my identity and everything. But when you strip it all away, who are you really? And I'm still in the process of learning that. But he gave me my identity in knowing that I'm Jace the Reacher.
That's good. That's good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm Illa Jeezy. That's crazy you say that because I was just in my head thinking I'm still trying to figure out who I am as far as my identity wise. But I do know that we ain't the same people who we was 20 years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And you can see the change through the progress. If you don't see growth and development in everything that you do in life throughout the years, then you know something got to be wrong.
That's true.
Something got to be wrong because we grow with age and wisdom come along with it. And if you're doing the same thing, negative things that you were doing 20 years ago, it got to be a problem. And I look at my old self and just be like, I wish I didn't do this and wish I didn't smoke cigarettes at 17, trying to be cool in high school, going in the bathroom, smoking cigarettes, knowing why am I even doing that? What's the reason? Trying to figure out who we want to be, looking at what we see on TV and trying to emulate that image, trying to see what the rappers doing and do what they do, and we just don't know who we are. And just like you say, a lot of that come from, some of that come from lack of having a father around, having not both parents in the household. Some of that, and then some of that just come from just us just not knowing who we are as a person and who we really want to be in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, but you say that, but I had my father and my mother, right? I had a pastor, I had a church.
Yeah.
But what I found is this scripture resonated to me when I had to look up this stuff. Like God said, make them in my image, right? So I had to think about, like, we spend a lot of our life trying to imitate other people, right? When we're younger, we try to be Superman, Spider-Man, right? We wrestling like the wrestlers, but no one ever told us that the image we should try to emulate is that of God. Right. But not just to be good, don't curse and stuff, but really the dominion, the control, like the fact that, and I don't, maybe y'all were taught this, I wasn't, that I have the power to actualize some of the things I see. Like I have the power to speak positivity, and then I have the power to pursue purpose. I wasn't taught that. And so as a result, I shrunk waiting for somebody else to do for me what I could have done. I didn't know I could. I didn't know I could be an owner. I didn't know I could be a leader. I didn't know this stuff, that I could do it without shrinking. Because I was always taught that you balance your giftings with humility, in the sense that you always have to, like you said, dummy down or humble yourself or bow down and never let them see the fullness. But God was never afraid to be the full God. So I asked, like, you mentioned 20 years ago, but let's be more recent. When in the last year, last 6 months, have you found yourself shrinking and not fully being who God created you to be? The last 6 months.
That's a good question. I don't know. The path that I'm on now is breaking down those barriers. So I've been actively, if God said, and this is actually what the tattoo across my neck means. It means lying to God. You know what I'm saying? Like Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee where no one pursues them, but the righteous are bold as lions. So that, what you're saying, I'm trying to actually walk into that. You know what I'm saying? And live that. I got a tattoo on me and everything. And I think the last time that happened with me was probably when I was writing my last album. I was writing Activate, and I was going through a whole bunch of different emotions and stuff like that. And there was certain songs on there that I was looking at, like, should I put them on here or should I do something more for the people? You know what I'm saying? So in that moment, it was like I was like dumbing myself down in the sense of God already told me, you Jace the Reacher. This is how you need to do your music. You glorify me. You know what I'm saying? You put the best of your ability to, pen to paper, and you do what you need to do. But I was finding myself like, maybe I shouldn't rap this way. Not saying glorifying God, but just specific songs. I was going all the way in on certain things. Maybe I should reel that back because they might. And I decided to not do that. But I did battle with whether or not I was going to do it in that manner. You know what I'm saying?
So you had to battle with yourself about whether you were going to show your full self.
Exactly.
And you had to do that because you were worried about what your full self would have allowed the enemy or the opposition or the outside crowd to think about you. And we do that, right?
Yeah, we do that. Absolutely.
Rather than, if God said do this, then why are we even worried about what the crowd gonna think?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah. What you think was your last time that you shrunk
Due to not knowing,
or believing that in the fullness of who you are?
I think recently, probably been within the last year to date, maybe when I was still in the cell, just going through some realizations while I was still in there, especially knowing that I'm about to come home. You battle with what am I gonna do, who I'm gonna be around, how I'm gonna do it. You got a lot of plans, and that's when I think I just had start telling him. He would call me all the time, like, and I tell him like, I think some of my plans done shift, man, because I done changed my mind so many times doing a 12-year bid. And then now it coming to the point where health issues are coming around and I might not be able to do this and I might not be able to smoke weed or whatever the case may be. But I know that that particular point in time, it was a time for me to make some decisions, some hard decisions on how to carry my life on forward, coming out of here, just coming out. And they were some difficult decisions, especially dealing with my health alone, and coming home to no parents and stuff like that. It just make you think about a lot of different things and trying to find yourself. I'm still trying to do that right now. It's just being home for about 30 days. It's rough. It's rough. It ain't easy, and I battle with it every day. But I'm in the right direction. I can say that much for sure.
Man, I want to celebrate you for those who are watching and don't know, right? Il been home about 30 days after doing 85% of a 15-year bid. So he did 12 years, 8 months, and some change, right? And so in order to really understand that, many of us, he did from first grade to 12th grade, right? The equivalent, and then a semester of college. Right? So life was completely different when he came out. So I just want to celebrate because since he's been out, man, he's been promoting other people. He's got his management company. So I want to promote that. I want to just promote you because it's rough and it can be rough, but we celebrate you. Right? I really wanted to be honest with you. I celebrate you. That's what's up. I have never been in, but about 8 years ago, I got into a real big situation. Some infidelity, right, with my wife, and it got real ugly. It affected my life, my job, and so my moment was just a couple months ago. So a couple months ago, I applied to do something in Sumter. I hadn't been in Sumter since 2019 living. I applied to come and do something and paid for it, and I wasn't going to do it, but I got a letter that came back that said, we appreciate you applying, but we're going to return your money because we don't want to be associated with what you did 8 years ago. Wow. And the thing is, since then, I've gotten 2 doctorate degrees. Since then, I've written 4 books. Like I've really done a lot. Like I've pastored a church. I've become military captain. But for a slight moment, that one comment made me feel as if I was unworthy. And so I say that because we as brothers have to guard our heart, because in our attempt to do well, the enemy knows how to penetrate our vulnerability and cause self-doubt. Facts. Right? The enemy is a master of knowing how to get through your armor. right? And knowing how to pierce you in such a way that takes you back 10 steps and causes you to doubt the God and the gift God gave you. How do you ignore? How do you block? How do you separate yourself from the naysayers who may know OJ, who may slide in, right? They know Be More Jace, right? They know old Illa, right? How do you guard yourself from being impacted in your positive progression by their negative moment?
That's a heavy one. That's a heavy one.
Yeah, I mean, me myself, man, I would say for right now, I'm blocking them by staying from around them for the most part. So I control where I go and I control how long I stay around. But they steady attack. They ain't gonna stop. They gonna keep coming. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna keep being a continuation of attacks. I'm learning how to fight them, and just being around a guy like him who knew who I was, just like I knew who he was. It give you he's my motivation for the most part. I tell him that all the time. To see the growth where he done came, it's powerful. Because I know that anything can happen. Anything can be possible, you know? I can get in that same lane, just striving to get there, you know, and just finding who I am. But yeah, just, like I say, just blocking those naysayers and people who want you to be who you were. I stay from around them and limit my time with them.
That's good. That's good.
That's heavy right there.
Yeah.
And you know, the accountability partner thing, you know, that he was talking about is we need that.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for you, just like, you know, you're thankful for me, just being able to, you know, call on the phone like, you remember we used to do this and do that, and then you remind me of how far gone we was. And then we look at where we're at now, but man, thank God for this, thank God for that, you know what I'm saying? So that's important. And like he said, staying away from people, you know, since I rap and I'm on the scene a lot, I don't stay places too long. You know, I handle my business, and, you know, if things start looking a little fishy, I'm out of there. You know, prayer, I pray without ceasing, pray all the time. I'm always talking to God, and I encourage you to ask him, talk to him about anything. Like, he's sitting right next to you in the name of Jesus. And I make sure I get at least one rest day. And you know, it's hard sometimes, because since I've been home, I was focused on Jace the Reacher and not just John, like who I am as a human being. So I'm finding that balance within myself. Like, I'm not just this entertainment or this character. I'm also a man. I'm also his son. I got to find that place. So I make sure now, because I wasn't doing it, I'm gonna take a day off. I'm gonna chill by myself, or whether I'm with my old lady, but I'm going to be away from everything, because Christ himself used to withdraw. So, you know, those are certain things that I do to make sure I'm fighting, you know, this good fighting against these principalities. You know what I'm saying?
Man, yes, sir. That's good. So really, what blessed me just now from what you said, and is the fact that you acknowledge that there are two in you, right? There's you, the person, and then there's you, the public figure. In the sense that and all of us have that. Right? All of us have somebody the people see, and they assume they only know us, but they see us. And we got to be careful what we project, because sometimes we welcome attack by what we project, right? But we also have to know the private us, the us that nobody knows, and be able to self-care in such a way that we're able to strengthen our private self, so that we can handle those public fights.
Amen.
Right? Because if you're depleted privately, then you'll be weak and get walked over publicly.
That's true.
So part of that is knowing yourself, right? Knowing that you're worthy. That's what you said. I got to know that John is worthy of even being cared for. So at what point did you realize, or are you realizing, or have you realized that you are worthy of dealing with your private self?
I think the thing for me is when I realized, like he was saying, a lot of people don't know the old Jace. They don't know. They just know what they see now. And they think it's just, you know, Christian rap, this and the third. But I'm speaking from a place of, I was in darkness. I was terrible. You know, he knows some of this stuff. So as I started to have conversations, because I've lived different lives, I become somebody totally different, 180. you know, I got God in me. I look at things differently. I got empathy. All of these things I didn't have at one point once the streets and the demonic forces and the darkness start taking a hold of me. I used to listen to some of my old raps. Matter of fact, recently, he put me on one of my old raps, and it was
Evil.
It was evil.
Evil.
And and I didn't like what he said. I'm like, man, evil, man, you bugging. But when I heard it, I said, this is evil for real. So acknowledging that, how far he's taken me from that, he pulled me out of the darkness into his marvelous light, and keeping that in the forefront of my mind is what really, really helps me to see that he really loves me. He genuinely cares so much about me, because I know people that was nowhere near as bad as I was, and they died from one thing that I went through. And I might have been the one that was doing something to them. But I was all the way in darkness. I used to take the back alleys in Baltimore just to get where I was going. And to just be a totally different person and be reminded of that, it's like, God, you're so good.
What is it again? What's the question again?
Like how do you, when did you, or have you found your private life worthy enough to protect and strengthen, right? That you matter. When did you figure out that you matter? Not who they see, not Illa. No. Because you introduce yourself as Illa. That's your public face. But tell them who you really are.
I mean, that's who I am now, but I'm Kevin. I'm Kevin Cantor. That is who I am. That's who my mama made me. That's who I'm born as. But I know I matter. I battle with my private self all the time because there's still things that I battle with. Just speaking about my mama, that messed with me because I lost her in about 4 years ago, in the middle of my bed, kind of, during COVID. And I still battle with just, you know, being alone. I battle with just a lot of just being with myself, learning myself, understanding myself, and I battle with that daily. I ain't even get to that point to where I can overcome that part yet. So I be around people, I talk to people. They don't know what I'm going through, you know, but it's just something that I have to overcome, and I just pray to God and thank him for what he's given me and where he's gotten me so far, but I still got a long hill to climb.
Do you? My bad. I'm gonna just jump in real quick. But do you feel like you're worthy though? Do you feel like your life matters?
It matters. It matters, and it's gonna matter to whoever I'm able to help in the long run. Amen. That's what I'm here for. I made it this far for a reason, at least. Yeah. I done seen too many people lose their life, not make it this far. I'm 38 years old. I got cousins and friends that ain't made it this far. I know strangers who I was around that ain't made it to this age, and I know I'm worthy, so I have to push my worthiness and understanding and knowledge to these youth, because they matter. They matter because they got to come up and understand what they're getting themselves into.
Man. That's two things I want to hit on. Golly. So the first thing I want to hit on, well, to follow up with the question, when did you learn your worth? Because, or better question, how long did you exist in life without knowing your worth?
I'm 38 right now. I probably learned my worth when I was about 30, I would say. But my worth is getting better and better. I would say my value of my worth is getting better. I can't say I knew my full worthy at 30, but I knew I was worth something.
And that was in.
That was in.
That was in.
Yeah, it's just certain things that triggered me to just let me know. You see the signs. You know, God sees you the signs. God talk to you through people and through different things. You know, you see the signs and you start to see you worthy, but what direction are you going to take this worthiness to, and how do you fully understand that you're worthy? You know, I'm still, like I say, learning my worth, but I know that I'm worth, you know.
Man, so I think that, and I'm not gonna cut ahead of you, but I am. I think that learning my worth on my terms, like from God, so not people's expectation of me, and that's what I used to mess up, right? I used to judge my worth based on how people affirmed me. So I used to then live my life for applause and to please, right? And so it wasn't until I went through all that and people stopped loving me, right? In the sense of it was a transactional type relationship. So as long as I was doing, they were liking, But once I couldn't do, they stopped liking, and I had to still realize I had value. I mattered, even though they didn't like.
Yes.
So learning to perform without applause, right? Because the performance is necessary, or the work is necessary, whether people like it or not, because it's been given to you by God, right? So that's when I learned my worth. I learned my worth when people work so hard to try to destroy me, because nobody tries to destroy something that has no value.
Praise God.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So the only time someone tries to destroy you is when they see potential in you or they want your place. So once I learned, right, not to find my value in external people, but to find my worth in who God said I am, then I was able to maneuver a little differently, right? And it helped me separate those who were really for me and those who were just fans. Because there's a difference, right? There's a difference between fan and follower, right? Fan and just somebody who is for you. So that's me. What about you?
My process definitely was in prison from 22, when I realized that even though I was ready to die from drinking alcohol, God still allowed me to get a second chance through incarceration. He set me down. And I gave up rapping. I was like, I ain't rapping no more. How can I rap? And I'm facing 30 years, this and the third. And then, through the process, maybe 3 or 4 months in, I couldn't help it. I started writing again. And God said, stop cursing, stop using the N-word and, different things like that. So when he showed me that, in spite of how badly I wanted to rap, once it came back to me, I could do it for him, and I was going to do it for him. I started to realize that I really had to be worthy in order for him to choose me to say, look, you rap for me and leave the results to me. And that's when I realized it didn't matter what nobody said about the OJs or the raps that I used to spit. Even when I got home, it's a preparation process of filtering everything out. I realized like he really loved me to choose me to be a vessel or a voice box in a clean, positive way, but still keep it raw to reach the people.
You were chosen. That increases your value when you realize who chose you, right? That you were chosen not by popular opinion or people, but you were chosen by God. Whew. Man, I want to wrap this up, but y'all said something repeatedly. Y'all knew each other.
Yeah.
So just give the people a little bit of how you knew each other, and I have a final question. How'd y'all meet?
We met through my rap partner. That's how I met him. But I think they grew up together, and then he started hanging around us. And yeah, I mean, you can tell more if you want.
You want to keep it brief. You want to keep it brief.
I wanna
because,
keep it brief.
it was definitely some dark things going on. But I met him through a Volcanic. Volcanic was his rap partner. They were a rap group. And then me and him started getting real tight. But, we went through a lot of wild stuff, wild, crazy, different things. You know what I'm saying? But we were able to see that. And we even saw each other coming out of court. And we was like, man, what's going on? We didn't know what was going on. We saw each other down the line, later on, when he got home. I actually was there when he came out of prison. And we see where we were and who we are now. And it's nothing but God. Just to have real life examples.
So y'all knew a little bit before prison.
Yeah.
A little bit. You knew throughout the prison process, and then on the other side.
On the other side.
But then you said something, which is what I wanted to get to the question about, right? Accountability is great, but even in being accountable, you don't know everything a person's wrestling with, because you said you battle with yourself, some stuff that nobody knows but you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So even though how can a person, and that's what you did earlier, you started giving tips to the crowd, so we're gonna do this now. How can a person support your self-identity and hold you accountable to who God created you to be, even if they don't know your secret struggles?
So how can a person
hold you accountability, and support you in your self-identity, without knowing specifically your secret struggles?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, honestly. I don't know the answer.
You're living it though, because he doesn't know everything, but he supports you.
Right. So I guess being that supportive force, everybody need that solid foundation. Everybody need a support system, whether it's your family, friends, loved ones, or even strangers. You know, everybody just need a support system. You just could support a person by just being there for them. It could be just the smallest things, just a small conversation, just a small, keep it going, keep your head up. You know, just simple things like that can just push a person forward. You just never know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that one thing as men that we don't do is, a lot of people don't do, and I'm thankful to have guys like y'all. Be vulnerable in conversation. You know, actually sit down and have the real raw conversations like this, you know, and me and him, we'll chop it up, and then that's when these things come out, what we're dealing with. And we get to the origin and the root problem. Most people don't have people they trust or want to open up to. And on top of that, then we have little places where we can say, but you know you're the truth, dog. You know what I mean? You know you're gonna do this, dog. You just put the business cards out. You did that from behind the wall, you know? So that the conversation is really where it starts with me, you know.
I think if I could add one more thing, I think it'd be consistency, right? Constantly showing up, right? Without asking for anything, but constantly showing up with the same energy, right? Because showing you care consistently then breaks down the walls, but also showing you care just because you care about the person. In other words, my care for you ain't about anything you struggling with. It's because I care for you. And I just want to see you win.
That's it.
Right? And because I want to see you win, I'm here when you're struggling, whether you're silent about it or not, because I just want to see you win. You can't go in that hole no more. Right? You can't get in that dark hole no more. And I'm here. You ain't got to tell me what it is. I'm just going to tell you to get it together. Right? How can let's go get something to eat. Let's go break bread. Right? Because that's what it takes. I don't know if you have any final words, and I'm going to give you space to give final words as we close this session down, but I do want to kind of preview next time. Right? So after God creates and says, this is why I'm creating you, chapter 2 of Genesis goes to this story about one individual by the name of Adam. And God has a conversation with Adam that we find at the end of the chapter and in the next chapter that Adam is unable to fulfill. And so I want to talk next week or next time about how do we steward the instructions of God for our life? And how have we become problems because we misstewarded what God spoke to us? That's what we're going to end with next week, next month. So any final words, any parting words?
Oh, man, I'm just thankful to be here, man. I'm thankful for the conversation. And just while we were talking, just the importance of emotional intelligence. Understanding that we as men, because we are men, just speaking on that term, but people, period. You've been given your emotions for a reason. And it's okay to be vulnerable and to talk about them and different things. Just pray that God sends the right people and circumstances in your life so you can do so.
That's good.
Don't hold it all in.
That's good. Go ahead and pub activate.
Oh yeah, you got to get that Activate album, Jace the Reacher. Go get that. It's on all streaming platforms, everywhere. It's up, man. It's up.
Yes, sir. And my final words is just, man, remain positive, keep faith and prayer in God, because He can solve any problem you're going through. Don't try to be like nobody. Be yourself, because the main thing we fall victim to is trying to be these idols that we see on TV or whatever it may be. But just be yourself, be who you are, and remain positive about it.
And then pub your promotion company.
I'm personal. I'm independent. Ilajeezy. I do marketing, management, campaign strategy, everything that you can think of dealing with the music, turning it up with you. Professional. You ain't got to worry about no scams, no schemes. 100% good business.
Yeah, man. And in my way. Oh, hold on, wait. Because the producer need to flip the camera because he done got in there. He introduced himself. Take a minute.
What's going on? You already know this your boy Terry L. June, man. I'm up in here, man, with the guys, man. We really, really turning up. I would like to say real quick, though, man, you got to be yourself. You have to learn to be yourself because it's very, very difficult. I find it easier to be yourself than to try to mimic something that you've already been. And one way I would say this is when I was trying to fit in with crowds or be around certain people, whatever, and if they go to a club and I'm sitting there by myself because I don't like the vibes, or if they smoking and everything and I just don't really smoke that much, so it's like I'm not feeling the vibes, or we out here at the trap spot or whatever like that, and they drinking and they partying and I'm really not liking the vibe, that's because I'm not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. And once I started learning how to be myself, I became lonely. I felt lonely. I really did. I started feeling lonely because I was by myself with it. But I encouraged myself to continue to be myself. And eventually what happened was miraculous, that there was other people that seen themselves in the same journey that I was going. And they started following me anyway and started welcoming their lives into my life without me having to change my environment. So it's great to just be yourself. So this boy Turn Me Up June, man. I'm about to turn it back over, man.
Thank you, man. You said a mouthful. You became a leader,
Yeah.
right? And people were drawn to you, and you didn't have to fit into their expectation. You found that they kind of liked the same stuff you liked, and they were similar to you. Here's my last word, which leads to kind of sums up. You got to know who you are unapologetically. You got to confidently know who you are and be able to maneuver independently, right? Based on who you know yourself to be. When you know who you are, you don't allow the crowd to change you. When you know who you are, you're not trying to conform to others' expectations of you. You're able to be independently confident in your creation and your creator. Listen, maybe I'm the problem, but today I'm not.
25. Keep giving in when temptation gets to knocking. Come to think about it, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the problem. When blessings come, then I go straight to sabotaging. Come to think about it, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the problem.